Hello everybody, this is Eflemok here live from the DreamHack Bucharest 2015. It is not just a CSGO, Hearthstone and a Dota festival. No, it is also the first offline event for Heroes of the Storm, the new game by Blizzard. And we have 4 teams here, Fnatic, Liquid and of course Gamers 2. The last one is SK Gaming. Those guys arrived early here in Bucharest and we sit down today, introduce the people to the fans and talk a bit about the game. And first of all, I have Aragi with me and Rave. For you guys, it's the first time you 5 actually meet in person shortly before the tournament, right?
Yep.
And how does that actually feel? All the time you play on Skype or TeamSpeak, you only meet online, and suddenly those names become a face.
Well, it's actually pretty funny, right? Because when you're playing online, it looks like eventually you get some kind of privilege with that person, and then when you finally face them, you have that weird moment where you are not really sure if you're gonna trust them the same. But then, like after a couple of hours, you're just the same way you are on TeamSpeak. So there's really a really healthy environment between us. It's been really fun.
And Aragi, how is it for you? Like online, you might have, for example, a captain, someone who has authority, someone who might be calling the shots, and you meet him in real life, and he might be 16 years old, a meter 50 tall, and then does your respect towards that guy diminish, or do you actually keep that respect you have just on his esports skills?
I think the level of respect is just something that we all kind of mutually agree upon as a team, and so whether it's on TeamSpeak or on LAN, I think it's just kind of kept in balance there. You respect the player, you respect the team, and you move forward together.
And now about boot camps, gamer houses, and everything. We have, if I remember correctly, Gamers 2, they have for almost a month now their boot camp. We have Team Alternate has a boot camp. How about you guys? Have you been preparing for this tournament on an offline basis, or was it just all online?
We've been lucky enough for our great organization to let us stay at the offices for some days before the event. We've played as much as we could, and I don't know. Let's see how it turns out in the end.
And now, giving all this preparation, 3 days. It's in comparison not much, but of course you played online before. Your strengths and your weaknesses pretty much after those 3 days. Are you prepared for this tournament?
Yeah, during the process we kind of identified a few of our weaknesses, mainly in the champion draft, and also in some of the, when we watched the replays we kind of saw some patterns that we were doing, mistakes we were making, so we were able to identify those, point those out, and improve our game and step it up a level. So the LAN actually really helped us organize those things. It's a much different setting together, talking about the game and writing on like a big board where everyone can see, rather than just in TeamSpeak. So it really did improve our thought process and understanding of the game and help us see it a little bit more clearly.
And talking about stepping up, of course there have been a lot of previous tournaments before the PGL tournament here in Bucharest. We had Dingit, we had ESL Majors, and of course GosuGamers' own cup, the Enter the Storm Gosu Cup. If we look at the other teams, Gamers 2, Liquid, they actually beat you right before this tournament. It's not long ago, less than a month, and does it actually change your attitude towards this offline tournament, or do you say, okay, it's offline, all of the teams have like a different preparation process and become with a fresh attitude into this tournament and everything is open?
Yeah, I think it's no surprise that like everybody knows that we've been struggling a bit since the patch, but since Saiku mentioned us on an interview lately, I want to make a shout out to him because he showed us the respect he thinks we deserve as players. So he knows the situation we were into, and I think that we approach this event like completely different, free, open-minded, and prepared and hyped up, and I don't know, like let's the best one win, because at the end of the day, like the 4 teams that are here, I think that are awesome, if not the best in the scene. Of course, with the time, eventually new teams have shown up and have proven that also to be really strong. But at the point we played the qualifier, I think the four teams that are here deserved it, and we'll show like we'll play tomorrow, so we'll find out how it turns out.
Exactly. Today is Friday, the teams arrive, but of course the tournament doesn't start before tomorrow. I think about 11 hours from now, it's actually the hot phase where it starts, the first game. Do you play first?
Yeah.
So yeah, they are even the team to start. Let's not talk about like specifically the tournament because tomorrow we're gonna see the results and maybe even more interviews coming. Let's talk about Heroes of the Storm in general. For example, the biggest difference as a MOBA is, for example, multiple maps. While on other MOBAs, you in and out in Dota, for example, for I don't know the last 8-9 years, I don't know even how old it is. You play on pretty much one map with only slightly modifications. In Heroes of the Storm, you suddenly get a whole set of maps. But in all those tournaments, we have seen just certain maps are being picked because the teams feel we have a better chance there, or it's the most balanced one. I just say Cursed Hollow, for example, and the most hated ones are probably Tomb of Spider Queen or Haunted Mines. Do you think like in the future we're gonna see a change in the tournament format where maybe just certain maps are called tournament maps?
I don't know, but I would like to. Kind of like Counter-Strike, like we need to circle a certain amount of maps that are even for both sides and that their objectives are equally balanced in order to allow maybe like to a later comeback in the late game if you struggle a bit in the early or things like that. Because right now I think, like you said, like you mentioned, that there are maps right now at the moment that the community doesn't really feel comfortable on because of their design. I'm not sure if Blizzard knows this, is aware of this, but yeah, I would really like to try to lock down a certain amount of official maps and then maybe just play all of them or maybe keep drafting, but on that regard, not just every kind of new map that comes out.
And let's just imagine you were a tournament organizer for one day and you could choose such a set of maps that is actually becoming like a tournament set of map. Which ones do you kick out?
I think I would probably remove the mines, and the last one's a tough choice. Actually, I don't think I could say. I think Spider Queen is actually an okay map. Garden of Terror is a good map too. Some people tend to steer a little bit clear from it because it draws out the game very long. But I think Mines is really the only one that just stands out as this horrible, atrocious snowball map. And so you make one wrong mistake in the beginning and the rest is just downhill from there. So really I would just say Haunted Mines.
So as a summary, your opinion goes pretty much alongside with that what the community actually thinks. Yeah. You can see it even in Twitch chat. I mean, there are like people like me that cheer every time there's a Spider Queen picked, but then again you have Haunted Mines, and I think we even had in Enter the Storm finals we had like one Haunted Mines, and we actually had one of those snowball games. No chance of comeback. It was just one big mistake and everything fell from there. Either way, to round this interview up, let's talk about Heroes in general, because we have a big announcement this week. 2nd of June, we have the release. Do you think it's too early? Do we have enough heroes? Do we have the maps balanced enough, the talents balanced enough, everything, the whole synergy, how the MOBA feels at the moment? Too early, too late, or maybe bigger changes before the release?
Personally, I believe it may be a bit too early, but since everybody knows Blizzard as a company, their professionality and their capabilities, I'm perfectly sure that I know for sure that they will do a good job when it comes out. But personally, I think I don't know, maybe a couple extra months can help a lot regarding heroes announcements or more map announcements or things like that, because the more content you put out, the harder it turns out to balance, right? Yeah. So of course, I don't know, especially with a company like Blizzard with their soon trademark joke and meme around, I don't know, I personally feel like it's really close, or maybe it's just that I've been playing it for so long now and I like it so much that I don't even consider it, I don't even consider the time span that there is like as long enough. But I would like to see a bit more work into it, just a bit more than they plan to.
Yep. And your final thoughts? Too early? Too late? And if it's too early, what would we need to actually make a good release? I mean, that it feels good for the community, those who just casually play, those who engage in the competitive scene, may it be as a viewer, a caster, a player themselves. What do we need if it's too early?
I think in terms of maps and champions, everything is proportionately balanced. It's got a good feel to it right now. Some characters are good on some maps favor different talent choices, so there's a lot of depth to the game. Some people talk about like there's no items and how that makes it easier, but that's actually not true because you have these multiple maps and the talent choices and the heroes that accelerate or decelerate on each map. But the only thing I would probably adjust would be ranked play. Right now it seems to be I mean, there is a ranking, but once you hit to the top, like rank 1, it starts to lose its like specialness. Like rank 1 could be anything. It feels like anything from 1 to 20 at the moment. Yeah. So I would like to see a higher tier in the rank that would allow the top level players to play against each other more often and have like 5 top level players in each game, and maybe even do away with some of the duo queuing and 3-4 person queuing. The way the matchmaking works is a little tricky when it comes to this thing.
I think this is pretty much what also the community says. We have a lot to do in Heroes of the Storm, but I think we three, the rest of your team, and pretty much the entire community definitely sees a lot of potential in Heroes. And I guess we have to see what the next month unfold for us. Either ways, I want to thank you for this interview. Shout out, of course, to GosuGamers. We're going to see each other, of course, here on the DreamHack. Next week, I'm going to be maybe with you, participating again on the Gosu Cup here's Enter the Storm. And now, of course, it's time for your shout outs to mom, dad, and all the friends out there.
Mom, dad, and all the Oh yeah, seriously. My family, of course, and our organization and their sponsor, which like they've behaved amazing with us this week, and it's been like they've made it everything easier. And also, of course, my 4 buddies, because we want to win this. Yeah. Let's do it. And of course to you, because this has been an amazing job. Thanks very much for inviting us.
Last words.
Shout out to my team. I believe in them. We're going to try to make this thing happen. And definitely shout out to our sponsors that made all this possible. Thank you, Alex, for letting us stay in the office. The boot camp was tremendous help, and hopefully we'll put it to good use here. I'd like to give a shout out to Karine and everybody else back home that supports me. And all the fans.
And all the fans. Anyway, and that's also for me. Thanks for listening to this interview. It was very interesting. Tomorrow we have some more teams arriving, and we also have the games, which means next time we talk, we actually know results of the first games. This is going to be very interesting. 2 more days, DreamHack here to come. Heflamoke, of course, out.